So after a very long time and a lot of speculation and people wondering if it would ever happen, we finally got the X-Men in the MCU, although it's kind of interesting that the X-Men, and I even joked about this in Deadpool and Wolverine, that when they finally got the X-Men in the MCU, they have come in at the lowest and worst point of the MCU's history. And they are going to show up in the lowest and worst Avengers point in MCU's history, Doomsday. Is when we're going to officially see the technical first X-Men team. But besides that, we're going to be getting a new roster of X-Men, and so this is something I have had a problem with ever since Disney merged with Fox, or they absorbed Fox, more like it. And they, got the rights to using the X Men characters. They have used the X Men characters in several films before. It's not like we have not seen the X Men. The problem is they have not handled the X Men well, by and large. I mean, Professor X, that was an embarrassment. His cameo, if you want to call it that, and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. B showed up for a brief second at the end at the Marvels in the post credit scene. Then you had Deadpool and Wolverine, where there were obviously, mutants and X Men and that. So, there have been X Men scattered throughout the MCU, but by and large, they've not been like the technical official X Men. They've been alternate universes and, shit like that. It's not been the mainline, but we're going to get our own mainline X Men. And honestly, at this point, it kind of begs the question how do you exactly integrate the X Men into the MCU at this point? Because I would say that the MCU, and I don't think anyone would disagree with this, the MCU is beyond a cosmically multiversal, incoherent fucking mess of everything. I mean, even Marvel can't keep track of what the fuck they're doing now. They have so many characters that they've introduced in the last like 3 or 4 years. They don't even probably know half the characters that they haven't even used yet, or even like plot lines that they haven't even followed up on from post credit scenes. And so, in all that clustered fuck of a mess, and then we're gonna have. So this is the other thing is we're gonna have a temporary X Men in Doomsday, which is essentially all of the older X Men from the old films. And then after Doomsday and Secret Wars, then we're gonna get the official new X Men. And I mean, I don't. It begs the question. I mean, I know why they're doing it. I mean, because I was going to say it begs the question why they're doing it. They're doing it because of nostalgia. Because they can market, hey, fucking Patrick Stewart is going to be back, so he can fucking die again. You're going to get Ian McKellen. All the pretty much all the old cast members from the Fox X Men are going to show up, and then there's going to be Gambit randomly from Deadpool and Wolverine, and probably Deadpool. I mean, Ryan Reynolds has said that he's not stepped foot on the set of Avengers Doomsday, but I mean, let's be honest, Marvel actors, they can be pretty deceptive when it comes to their involvement, especially in like major projects. So like Ryan Reynolds claims he's not in the Doomsday, but he probably is. And if he's not in Doomsday, I'm willing to bet he's going to be in Secret Wars. So one of two ways we are going to get Deadpool. But we're going to have the temporary X Men who are either going to get killed off or are going to get erased by the end of Secret Wars. And why they so this is my thing is I feel like Doomsday could have been, and the other thing is because I don't know, the other tricky part was I know that when they acquired Fox that there was like a period where they couldn't use the X-Men, because I remember when they acquired the X-Men it was right around the time that Infinity War was coming out and Endgame, and a lot of people thought that they were going to show up in Infinity War and Endgame because like the merger happened like right in that time frame. And I remember Kevin Feige and Marvel came out and said like there was like a period of years that they could not like do their own X Men. So like they were like, yeah, there's no way we can legally actually use them, even though we have bought Fox and we technically own them. We can't actually use them, so that kind of threw it out the window. So I don't know when that period ended of them, but it had to have ended a while ago because they've been doing their own thing with the X Men. So I can't imagine that's been in place for the last at least 4 or 5 years. And honestly, I know when they could have. I think that, and I don't know, again, this might have been too soon from the merger, but really, WandaVision, I think, had the perfect introduction point for the X Men. Because when Wanda took over Westview, and then, you know, the thing, what was it, fucking Sword or whatever, got involved, and then Vision and all that. Monica Rambeau, she actually became a superpowered character because of the force field. Like Wanda's magic had like warped her anatomy to where she's like now a superpowered being. And she's off doing her own thing now. And like I think it would have been a perfect entry point, and it would have been kind of fitting since in the comics, Scarlet Witch slash Wanda does have a connection to the X Men, and the House of X, House of M, not House of X, House of M, with the whole mutant storyline. It would have been cool if Wanda, because of her psychotic breakdown and like taking over this town with her magic, ended up creating mutants now, and like that kind of connected into Doomsday, where like now the mutants are here and established because of Wanda. Like I thought it would have been kind of cool. Then I also have just like the consequences of like Wanda having to deal with the fact that like she is responsible for the good and bad of, on top of the horrible atrocity she committed in Westview. But like now there's this entire population of superpowered beings that have been made directly because of her and are out there in the world, which, and it would also tie it in because one of the main plot lines with mutants is humans fear their just and unjust fear of mutants. And it would have been perfect because the world, if they had actually spent the time and they actually addressed the horrible shit that Wanda did in Westview, and the world responded as it should have to Wanda, the world should be terrified of Wanda because not only is she she is severely unhinged mentally. She is not stable by any means, but she also is one of the most powerful magic users on the planet. And people would look at that and be like, "Holy shit, man! Like this chick is just out there able to do this, like, and she's able to just like completely control like people at will and like take over an entire town. Like, what she takes over the fucking world next?" And then you could have also had the argument be like, well, where the fuck were the Avengers? Like, and you could also have like this be a perfect point of like the turning point of the society against, superheroes and mutants essentially, where people look at it and they're like, okay, so the Avengers, because you guys were having your own petty fucking arguments and shit and broke up, you guys lost against Thanos and half the universe got erased. And then now, this fucking mentally unhinged, reality warping witch, who's one of the most powerful beings in existence, takes over an entire fucking town. No one does anything. Where the fuck is Doctor Strange? He's supposed to protect us from shit like this, and he's out to lunch. Where's Wong at? Where's Karmataja? Where's any sorcerer on the fucking planet to stop this chick? Like, where are all, like, when we need you guys are just completely fucking gone. And you come in when shit has gotten to the worst point possible, and then you try to fix it and make it even worse. And then by the time you fix it, the amount of death and destruction and trauma that's been caused is fucking irreparable. So like that could have been a turning point of people being like, you know what? I know Iron Man, respectfully, he, snapped, did the snap and saved the world. But, these superheroes, by and large, have been more of a fucking net negative to society than anything. Like, more times than not, they have been a fucking nightmare or they have caused harm to society and to humans. And that could have been like the turning point. People been like, you know what? Fuck all these superheroes. And then, the mutants, because they were made from Wanda, people hate them even more because they're like, you were made by this chick. So you're, by proxy, probably as evil and as unhinged as she is. So fuck them too. And you could also have, the traditional X-Men prejudice, xenophobic plot lines. Like, I think that would have been a perfect entry point. Like, I think it would have perfectly tied in to how the X Men are in the comics, and like, I think it would have been a nice entry point. But we didn't get that, and then also Marvel just wanted to sweep down their work, and they, for some reason, Marvel, they just want Wanda to be this wonderful, just innocent, can do no wrong type of villain for some reason. So they were never going to actually have her be held accountable for anything. I mean, Kevin Feige and Marvel made that very fucking clear after WandaVision, and if you didn't get the point in WandaVision that they felt that Wanda was at no fault and was just a great person, at the end of Doctor Strange 2, they make it a very explicit point to tell you, oh, Wanda, even though she nearly destroyed the multiverse, she's a good person. She's on the up and up. So we didn't get the mutants in WandaVision, and we got the cameo. We did get the cameo. Speaking of Doctor Strange and Wanda, we did get the cameo of Professor X and Doctor Strange 2, where he did nothing and got his neck fucking snapped, and that was into him. And so now we're going to be getting various different universes of mutants or X-Men. And as far as like how are they going to introduce the X-Men, like the new X-Men, not the upcoming ones that are just like the old actors. I think that they might do, because honestly at this point, because they've been talking about, Marvel's been talking about, or there's been rumors of a reboot of the MCU, and I feel like at this point, honestly, that might be the best thing to do, because otherwise, I think you would have to go the Fantastic Four route. Because in the Fantastic Four, I think they did the right choice with the Fantastic Four, rather than trying to like in a very convoluted, makes no fucking sense kind of way. They just had them be in their own universe, doing their own thing in their own Earth with their own history, their own lore, and I think that might be the best way to do it is like, because I don't know how you can introduce the mutants in the sacred main MCU timeline and make it make any sense and then make their history fit in the main MCU timeline. Like, I just don't think it can work. And I really think that they are, because it seems like after we're done with Doomsday and Secret Wars, like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, they're going to be the focal point. Like, they're going to be a major point of focus in the MCU following that. So I don't think they're going to want to fuck this up. So I think if they do a reboot, which it seems like they might do, or at least a soft reboot of the MCU, I think the best case scenario is just to like introduce somehow at the end of Secret Wars, because I've pitched this before. At the end of Secret Wars, and I guess you can't even do this really, because then it would fuck up the idea I had for the X Men. Because my original idea is like at the end of Secret Wars, however that ends, essentially every like all the universes and alternate time, all that shit gets fucking erased and gets sliced down to being just the main. There's just the timeline. None of this alternate universes, multiverses, omniverse. We're done with that. Like, somehow cut all that shit out and just have one timeline, one version of every fucking character, and that's it. That's it. There's only one fucking Shang-Chi and fucking you know She-Hulk and whatever. Like, there's only one of those characters. There's not a fucking infinite number of them out there roaming around the multiverse. Like, there's only one of them. There's no other universes or multiverses to go to. They all get fucking destroyed. Like, that's the best way I think you could at least somehow reboot the MCU without just like completely overhauling it. Because I think that's the other problem is there's too much there's too much interconnected uh stuff with the MCU that they don't want to get rid of. Like, I don't think, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, even though we might not see them for a while, I don't think that they're going to want to just completely get rid of the current Rocket and Star Lord, because they're probably going to want to have Chris Pratt back. They're going to probably want to have Bradley Cooper back. They're probably going to want to have Vin Diesel back. Dave Bautista, he said that he might not come back. I forgot her name. The actress that plays, not the Zendaya, the actress that plays Gamora, she's pretty much said that she's done with playing Gamora, and so two of the Guardians cast have said they've like written off for now. I mean, it is funny what money can do to people when you get offered enough of it. So they might have a change of heart with enough money from the House of Mouse. But I don't think that they want to get rid of a lot of characters that they have. I don't think they want to get rid of the actors. Like, I don't think they want to have a DCU situation where they get rid of all the actors that they have for their characters and they have to recast them all. Because I think there is still some pretty solid fucking casting in the MCU. So they don't want to get rid of that. But I think somehow if you can introduce the new X-Men, that are going to be the main ones. Like, let's say somehow they are introduced kind of like the Fantastic Four. Like, ideally, I think you could do that. Like, I think you could have, like, the Fantastic Four is on, they're on their planet in their own universe. You have the X-Men in their universe. And then, whatever happens with Doctor Doom, Franklin Richards, and Secret Wars, Doomsday, you have their universes get destroyed, and now they're misplaced, and now they have to take up, living on Earth as their home now. And then that way you have the Fantastic Four, you have the Avengers, you have the X-Men, you have your other team. Like, everyone is on the same planet, on the same, maybe not the same location, but it's centralized. Everyone's on the same fucking place now. It's not just scattered between all these universes and alternate timelines, and this isn't canon to this universe and all that fucking convoluted shit. You're done with that, and you have them all in the same place, and you can go from there. Like, I think that'd be ideal from that. Because the thing, and everyone, I don't think you're going to find a single person at this point who is a fan of multiverse. Because not only has Marvel overplayed the multiverse, but just entertainment in general has overplayed the multiverse. Like, I mean, every other fucking show, movie wants to have a multiverse, multi-universe, some shit. It's just like, enough. Like, we've had our fill. So I think that'd be a good way to introduce them to the MCU, is just like have them in their own timeline that gets destroyed. They're in their main one, and now they become into the main timeline. Then that brings up the question of, well, how do you go forward with the X-Men? And honestly, I think because in the sacred timeline at this point, you can't. I don't think you can really do the story of humans hating mutants and superheroes, because they're beloved. And also, like, I just think, like, after all the shit that's happened on the MCU, the main sacred MCU Earth, like, it makes no fucking sense. I mean, they've had literal sentient anthropomorphic talking raccoons that can fly spaceships, and talking trees, and fucking Norse gods and pantheons and shit. Like, there's been literally fucking aliens the size of multiple planets show up and beam up robots that are humanoid, and then just fucking yeet themselves into space. Like, there is no way that anyone on Earth should be like, oh, this, like, character, this person that's like an Iceman, yeah, you're bad, or like, you have telepathy, you're bad, or like fucking, like, I can't see how and why someone would like look at a Magneto character and be like, oh wow, all these characters are bad, like, superheroes are scary bad. It's like, no, I mean, if like, again, like the Hulk, like, even, the Hulk, when before he became, fucking, smart Hulk, the fucking joke Hulk, pretty much. Again, like, the main MCU timeline has become overly adjusted and used to seeing superheroes go fucking crazy and nothing happen, whether it's Wanda in Westview, Hulk going crazy, fucking Ultron, the Avengers fighting. Like, there's just been countless examples of shit going horribly wrong, and superheroes doing horrible things to society, and nothing really negative recourse wise happens. So I don't really think you can do that storyline. Although I feel like they're gonna try to, and it's not gonna make any fucking sense at this late date. But I think also, like, and I talked about this in my Fantastic Four episodes. I think honestly, I would really like to see a, like, mainline Illuminati where you have, the X-Men as part of that. Like, you have Professor X, you have Magneto. I don't have even Cyclops. Like, you could have Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, and you could have not Reed. You could have Bruce Banner. You could have, well, unfortunately, I don't know if I don't know if they're going to cast T'Challa. There's been talks of it, but if they do recast T'Challa, you could have T'Challa, you could have Bruce Banner, you could have Reed, you could have Magneto, you could have Professor X, you could have Cyclops, you could have a few other characters, and I mean, Doctor Strange, he should be there. Because, like, essentially, the Illuminati in the comics is like the smartest minds of the MCU, coming together to, make decisions and kind of oversee things. And I think that'd be a cool storyline, because I feel like you could there's a lot of branching conflict and a lot of branching storylines you could make from an Illuminati existing in the same universe with the X-Men being part of it. Because you could have like the X-Men having their perspective and their views of how things should be dealt, opposed to like the Avengers or like heroes that are just like independent, doing their own thing. Like you'd have that like kind of contrast of different ideologies and how they handle threats, how they handle approaching situations, how they handle, internal problems. Like I feel like there's a lot of potential you could have there. So I think that that would be a good plot line to have for the X-Men. And now this might sound like a hot take. I think one X Men that either A should not come back or should be relegated to only showing up scarcely is Deadpool. And the reason, well, is he? Hell, is he? I guess he is a mutant. Yeah, he is a mutant. I'm pretty sure Deadpool is a mutant. But assuming he's a mutant, because I'm pretty sure. Now I'm fuck. Geez, now I'm kind of confident. This. I'm pretty sure he is. The reason I feel like Deadpool, and I still have this mindset like currently, I feel like with the way they have, I think personally, after Deadpool and Wolverine, I feel like they have flanderized Deadpool to being just nothing but a fourth wall joke, pretty much. That's all he is now. Like nothing is serious, everything's all a joke, everything's a meme, it's all about breaking the fourth wall. I don't know how you can have that character. I don't think that character can really be in something that's not its own like movie. Because Deadpool works in his movies, but I don't think you could have Deadpool from Deadpool and Wolverine working in like Infinity War. I don't think he would. It would be such a tonal it would be such a tonal drastic change. It would be so disconnected from like the tone and everything, like just character wise, like it's not even like just being a different character. Like he would be so out of fucking place. It would be jarring. Like at the end of Infinity War, it would be so weird to have this dark, somber, bleak ending, and then you got fucking Deadpool making meme jokes and singing "Dust in the Wind" in the background. Like it just doesn't work. And I feel like they're no matter what happens, I feel like that unless something just crazy happens to Ryan Reynolds, I think that they're gonna have Ryan Reynolds continue to play Deadpool. And honestly, I just don't really, at this point, have an interest in seeing him. After Deadpool and Wolverine, I thought, this is a good movie. I like Deadpool in it, but I like Deadpool in his own movies and his own little projects. Like, I mean, yeah, he can cross over and do like little side projects, but I feel like with the way they have just kind of written him to being just like just like he's just nothing but jokes and memes now. I just don't know how that really fits into like an actual serious storyline or like an actual serious anything going forward. Like I just don't think it is really compatible. And I think also Deadpool, as much as people like him on his own, I feel like it would just get kind of fucking insufferable after a while. Like it's okay. Like Deadpool, with the way he has become, he is okay in a right small amount dose. But if you give him like a too much screen time, I think you just kind of are like, you know what, I'm fucking done. Can't stand him. It's going to something else. So I do hope that Deadpool either is just like relegated to his own projects where it's not really connected to the other X Men and the MCU stories, and he just kind of stays there, or he just doesn't show up again. Because like it sounds like even Ryan Reynolds has like talked about how Deadpool's kind of like being should be more phased out to where he just kind of shows up in other things and he doesn't like have like his own like main role in the MCU. Like he's not like a leading character, which to me I think it makes sense. Like I think again, like small doses for Deadpool. I think he can work in that, but I don't think he would work as he currently is now. That doesn't mean to say that if they like completely rewrote him and redid his character, but I don't think they will. Like I feel like Deadpool has become so iconic for what he is currently that I just don't think they would ever want to really change that. Like I think they would want to just keep him as he is and then go from that. So like he's the only character I don't hope don't I hope doesn't come back. But the one character, the one X Men or mutant that I do hope that they bring in is Dupe. Now, most people have not heard of Dupe or even know what the fuck Dupe is. But Dupe is a very interesting character, very interesting X Men character. He looks fucking wild. He looks fucking out there. And I remember years ago, so there were some people talking about Dupe being interested in the MCU. And funny enough, one of the things I heard against that was, oh, he's a bit of a too weird of a character. And I mean, yeah, Dupe is a weird character, but at the same time, at this point in the MCU, I feel like there isn't really a character you could introduce that is not just too odd for the MCU. Like I don't think that that's really a criticism you can have anymore. But I would love to see Duke be one of the main X Men. And if you don't know who he is, I would definitely recommend looking him up. But he's one character I would like to see in the X Men. But as far as like the new X Men, I'm also kind of 50-50 on this too because there's a lot of X-Men. I mean, everyone it's kind of like the Avengers. The X-Men are like the Avengers where like there's the core main iconic cast of characters, but there's a lot of other characters you can use too. There's a lot of other Avengers and a lot of other X-Men that we don't know or that people don't know are X-Men or Avengers. And I feel like at the same time I would love to see, Storm, Beast, Professor X, Magneto, Wolverine, Gambit, but at the same time, I'm like, is it not? Have we not reached a point where those characters are just overused? I mean, especially considering we're going to be getting these same characters for at least two more films after we've had 20 plus years at this point of having these characters show up in their own films. And then we're having them again. Like, I feel like maybe it's time we just have a complete new roster of X Men. Because, like, and I know people, they love Wolverine, they love, Storm, but I feel like by and large, a lot of people like the actors that played him. Like, a lot of people like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine because he's perfect. I mean, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is one of the most perfect castings in superhero history. I mean, it's up there with, with Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. and Heath Ledger and the Joker. Like, it's as close to being perfect as you can get. And I feel like people like, and not to say that people don't like Wolverine or they don't like Professor X or Magneto, but I feel like, at least when it comes to the live action counterparts, people like them a lot more because of the actors. But like the fact is, we're not going to be having Hugh Jackman and Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, even Channing Tatum as Gambit. We're going to have all new actors and actresses playing these characters, and I don't know how people are going to take to that, considering people have gotten so used to seeing, the X Men, the main X Men, being portrayed a certain way by certain actors, and I don't know how people are going to take to a completely new direction with them. And so I feel like with that, maybe they should just try and have like a different X Men. Like I think it'd be a fresh take. It would be new. It would be a sign of the times of like instead of them relying on nostalgia and the same characters and the same plot lines, they're taking a chance and they're having a completely new group of X Men. They have and then they have a blank slate to start with. They don't have to deal with like, having to set up Professor X and Magneto's relationship and Jean Grey and Wolverine. Like they can start fresh with these characters that people don't know as well. There's not as much attachment that the fans have to them as like other X-Men. So I feel like that might be a good starting point. Like especially if there is going to be an actual reset in the MCU, I think it's fitting to just like have a soft reset of the X Men, even though they haven't been in the MCU. They've been like pretty much cameoed and like they've been sprinkled in, but they've been like the old version. So like just to have a complete new cast of X Men with a reset MCU, I think that might be good. Like I think that might be the direction to go. But we're gonna have to see though. We're gonna have to see what Marvel does, after Doomsday and Endgame. Doomsday Endgame. No, Doomsday Secret Wars. Jesus Christ, Doomsday Secret Wars. We're gonna have to see, what they end up doing. But I'm curious. I'm curious to see what they end up doing with them. But with that said, I think I'm gonna call it a day here. Let me know what you guys think. If you're if you're kind of interested in the X Men showing up now, if you want to have the same X Men, or if you're just kind of indifferent to it, I'd like to know. But with that said, I think I'm gonna call it a day here, guys, and I will see you good people later.